Welcome everyone, Johnny Keck over at AMP Futures, and thank you for tuning in once again. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and cover the Tradespaces layouts within MarketDelta Cloud. MarketDelta Cloud is a free trading platform available with AMP Futures as a web-based platform. So let's get right into it. We're going to show you exactly what we're referring to in terms of Tradespaces. So this is a workspace or Tradespace that you see on the screen at this very moment. And as you see at the top here, I have different workspaces. So if I click on each one, you'll see different configurations, different ways of looking at the layout. And typically what happens is this is by default the default workspace that is created when you first log into the platform. So let me just show you what it looks like. It's called Sample. Let me just create that real quick. Usually you'll have a chart on the top portion. Let's call it ES real quick. And then you'll have a dome on this right side widget here. And I will explain and show you how to create the widgets within each Tradespace. I'm just creating the sample. I accidentally deleted it before we started, so I apologize for that. And let me just add real quick this contract there. And then here usually is a watch list. And I'll just use the sample watch list. All right, so this is exactly what you see when you first log into MarketDelta Cloud for the very first time. All right, so it's a good setup. It's pretty straightforward. You have your watch list, your dome, and your chart. However, the biggest concern that a lot of customers will express is when you expand the bottom panel, you can see that the chart isn't very big. Okay, so that's why it's important for you to understand how to navigate through the different trade spaces, because everybody is different from one another. So you're going to have a preference on how you want your charts to be displayed. So if you have this problem where you feel the chart is not large enough, then you may want to be looking at a different trade space. So on the top left corner, you'll have an add button right underneath the MarketDelta Cloud logo. And if you hit that add button, you'll see a total of 6 different options that you can use. All right, so you have an 8 split layout, you have a 5 split layout, 3, that looks to be 4, and then you have 1 and 2. So what you could do, if you fall into a scenario where like, well, you know what, I don't really like any of the trade space layouts, I just want to have one big layout, then what you could do is you can just choose this particular layout that I have hovered right here, which is just pretty much it's just one widget or one window, and then you can start creating additional workspaces. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and just hit edit here. There's a little edit button to the right of the add button, and I'm going to show you, when you go into here, it's going to show you all the different workspaces or trade spaces that you've already created, and from here you can configure and organize those trade spaces, whether you want to move the arrangement, whether you want to delete, or you just want to change the name of the trade space itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and delete every single trade space. All right, so now we literally have a blank MarketDelta Cloud trade space. There is no trade space, so at this moment we have nothing created. So now if you want to start building out your layout, you can hit add, and now it's up to you which trade space you want to use. So for example, I like this one. I'm a fan of this one here. This is my preference. I can call it anything I want, so I'll just call it AMP, for example. And then we're going to hit create new trade space. Now what happens is if this is blank, that create new trade space is going to be grayed out. You can't do anything, and that's because you have not named that trade space anything. So you have to name it something for this button to activate right here. All right, so now that I've done that, I have this particular trade space selected. I hit create new trade space. Now you have 4 windows open with setup buttons on each. All right, so the reason why it's asking you setup is because what widgets do you want in place of those particular widgets? So it's pretty simple. There's only 3 available widgets that you can choose from. So let's start off by building it on the left. I'll hit setup. And then if you notice also when you hit setup, it will show you a little chart or map of which particular widget you have selected. So you can see this one's highlighted. If I click here, now I'm adding the top section. If I click here, then this is the available widgets that you can apply. So you have watch list, dome, and chart. So it's only really 3 options. The question is which section do you want to add, whichever widget you want to create. So let's start off with the left there. I clicked it. Now I'm going to hit here. So the reason why I like this one because I like having 2 domes, one on the left, one on the right, and I have 2 charts right down the middle. All right, so I'll click on the left. I'm going to click dome. All right, now the next step is what symbol do you want to apply for that dome. So let's say EPU6, the September mini S&P. Hit that. Now it's there. You can see the data's coming in. Okay, so now let's move on to the other side. I'm going to do another dome. And this time we'll add, let's say, CLEN6, which is July crude. Like you see the data's there. Now on the top here, what do we want there? So now I want to put a chart there. All right, now we're going to add a symbol, so EPU6. And then what do you want to name that chart? So we'll just call it the same thing, EPU6. U6, and then you want to save that chart, and now you can see that chart will populate on the top there. Now the bottom, hit the drop-down menu, same thing, chart, and this time we're going to add CLEN6, that's July crude, name the chart, so we'll just do the same thing, CLEN6, save new chart. All right, and that's an example of how to create a trade space. Now that using that particular layout. And now if you notice on the top here, there's an AMP trade space that's created. All right, now that does not limit me to having only just one trade space. So now I have this particular trade space created. Now if I go ahead and hit add, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just create a different layout. So this time, let's say, you know what, I like this layout, but I definitely want a watch list. I want to be able to incorporate a watch list into the platform. So if I hit add, now what I can do, let's say I'll just have one blank window specific just for the watch list, and I'll call it the watch list. So this is where you have a lot of flexibility. You can be creative in creating the workspace or trade space layout any way you wish within MarketDelta Cloud. So I'm going to hit create new trade space, and now we have one big widget, and I'm going to hit the setup button, and I'm going to go ahead and click the watch list, and just to save time, I'm just going to go ahead and use the sample watch list, which basically just gives you a set of sample symbols pretty much that MarketDelta has preset for you, and now you have your watch list. And if you're not sure how to organize or edit the watch list, be sure to watch the watch list video that will specifically focus on how to edit the watch list. So now you have the AMP workspace, you have watch list. All right, we're not done yet, so maybe you want to add a few more. So maybe perhaps you want to do a multi-chart setup. So maybe you want to do an 8-split layout here. So we'll call this multiple charts, for example. All right, so these are just all examples, just to give you an idea what the trade spaces are designed for. Create new trade space. Now you have 8 different charts. Now I can go in there and start adding charts. All right, so I won't go through all 8, but I'm sure you get the idea. I'm just going to go in there and start adding, ES, save new chart. Go here, next one, chart again. We'll do ENQ U6, the mini NASDAQ. We'll just call that NQ, save new chart. And then we'll go on the next one, and we'll do chart again, CLEN6, July crude. We'll just call that crude. So right here you can call this anything you want. It really doesn't matter. What that does, you see at the top there, just changes the name of the header title there. That's all it is. And the next one, this is the last one I'll create. As 4 examples should be enough. So I'll do, let's say GCE Q6, which is August crude. And then we'll just call this gold. Save new chart. And then there you go. So you have your layouts. And of course, you would do the same exact thing on the bottom here. Okay, so, and this is where you now have the ability to tab the tab between each trade space, and then you have, its purpose for whichever trade space or how you created it. So that's the workaround. A lot of times customers get in there, they see the sample workspace, and they're thinking, is this the only thing that I can do in terms of the layout? And the answer is no. You have flexibility there. So you just have to have an understanding of how to get in here and choose whichever preset trade space you'd like to use. If you're not happy with any of the presets, the designs, then just choose the big one here on the bottom and just start creating each tab one by one and just go ahead and create it accordingly. Once you have everything created, you can go to hit the edit button. And for example, if I want the multiple charts trade space to be first, then hit edit and then just grab it just right here and drag it up. And now you can see it's moved to the beginning. If you want to rename it, just click the little pencil icon. We'll call that today's date, for example. All right, once you change the name, just hit the check, and now it's saved and changed to that particular title. All right, if you want to delete it, hit the X. And I don't want to delete the AMP one. We'll keep the watch list, and there you go. All right, so that's pretty much trade spaces. It's very easy, very good to organize and make your layout look based on your preference. If you have any questions on this, please call our 24-hour help desk, 312-893-6400, extension 1. That'll transfer you directly to the help desk. Otherwise, guys, definitely stay updated on our YouTube channel. We're very proactive. It's www.youtube.com/AMP Futures. Again, that's www.youtube.com/AMP Futures. Thank you for listening in. We'll see you next time, and happy trading.